Good afternoon. Jeff Raspe here with you on 90.5 The Night, and it is a pleasure to welcome Tom Kanach from right here on the Jersey Shore to our airwaves. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure, my pleasure. You've got the new EP Change and a show coming up Friday, the 19th of March at the Wonder Bar in Asbury Park, which I suppose should be the first thing we talk about, because it is still, I mean, I guess some restrictions for restaurants and whatnot have been loosened, but you guys are still, and kudos to you guys for still, you know, adhering to rules in the Wonder Bar as well. The show at the Wonder Bar will be much lower than normal capacity and seated and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, so they only have 48 seats, and you have to order the tickets by table. So there's two top tables and four top tables, etc. And you have to email them to get the tickets. But we think it's great that they're making this effort to continue to let bands play. And obviously, you know, we love to play in front of people, and it's been, you know, very challenging. So we're excited to play.
Yeah, and that email address is wonderbargm@gmail.com, which is how the Wonder Bar is handling doing these much lower than capacity shows, because they've done a few over the last several months, and I suppose it's easier that way than, you know, putting them up on Ticketmaster and having fees taken out for only 48 tickets and stuff like that. So it's probably easier this way.
Yeah, I'm guessing it allows them some modicum of control as well. So if it works, it works. I'm excited that they were able to, you know, give us the show, and I'm excited to play.
Yeah, I've honestly not. A number of folks I know have done shows there, you know, since last March, or whenever they started doing them up again. And I don't think I've heard anyone say anything bad about the way it was handled, the way tickets were handled, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's working. It's difficult because, as we all know, bars and venues kind of run on a razor thin margin to begin with, and then, you know, to only have 48 tickets. That's Friday, March 19th at the Wonder Bar. Tom Kanach celebrating the new EP Change, which includes an old friend of ours, somebody who Jersey Shore music fans will probably recognize, hiding in the shadows, stage right, playing guitar. Our old friend Peter Wood from
Yep.
Dramarama. So how far back do you guys go, and how did you corral him to come down from North Jersey to play in your band down here on the shore?
Well, it ended up that we had some incriminating photos of Pete.
Good. Yeah.
And we blackmailed him. No,
The
I
90s.
met Pete a while ago, and we had done some other project together. And when I started to put together a band for this, I had been talking to him about it, and he was interested. And then, you know, sent him some music, and, you know, we've been playing together, you know, for 2.5 years now.
Oh, cool.
And he's been on all the studio stuff, with the exception of the Undertow record that I did in 2017. But he's been on the last two EPs, and I love him. He's a really underrated guitar player. He's great, and he's a great guy. And, you know, I think he likes this little, you know, side project that he's on while waiting for his other thing to, you know, get busy again.
So he comes down here for practice.
Yeah, we rehearse in Milltown, which is sort of central for all of us. When we just started rehearsing again, actually, and we have been rehearsing with masks and everything just to be safe. But before that, I think we rehearsed 3 times from March till October or something like that. Yeah.
And that, which kind of leads to the next question I had, and that is for this new Change EP, was all of it done since last March, actually, when everything shut down, you know, writing, recording, and finishing, or did a song or two sort of first take shape, you know, before we all knew that we'd be stuck at home for a year plus?
So I Joe wrote Girl from Outer Space, Joe Rowley, the bass player. And I think he wrote that probably right around March, but everything else I wrote after the
Oh
lockdown
wow.
started. And all the songs sort of reflect some emotion that I was going through at the time. And, I wrote like crazy. And, change is about seeing all these different people that, were acting in a way that felt kind of sad. And I was thinking to myself that we all really need to find it in ourselves to change to be our best version of ourselves. And then, now is about love. And it's sort of about saying, hey, if everything goes really bad, I'm with you. I'm here for you. And, Mistake was about regret, because sometimes when you're in those moments of, you know, emotional time periods, you sort of regret some of the choices and chances you didn't take. And Drift Away, the other song that I wrote, is about friends splitting apart. I had seen a bunch of people arguing on
Mm.
social media, and I thought, wow, these people I know have been friends for 30 years, and now they're drifting apart. But sometimes, no matter how much you fight it, your paths diverge. So all of those emotions for me were captured in there, and I, wrote all those songs. And then we had planned out a whole nother record that we were going to do, and then we decided we would take these songs and do this as an EP because it felt timely to us, and we were emotionally invested in those feelings, so it was good.
Yeah,
It was I was going to say it was a challenge to record because we did it without rehearsing.
That was going to be my next question. Like, you couldn't. Like, so did you do that whole 21st century thing of, you record your part at home and then send it off to Joe, and then he does his part and sends it off to Pete?
So I demoed it that way. So normally
actually, I guess that would be the backwards way to do it, because you'd probably have to start with drums. But
well, in the past, the way we did it was I would just do some quick, cheap demo and give it to the rest of the guys and let them pretend to listen to it. And then we'd get to rehearsal, and we would rehearse, and we'd play it a couple of times, 20, 30 times, and it would find its own path, right? But this, Joe and I did, a little bit more elaborate demos to a click track and with some other vocals and things on there. And then one by one, we did our parts. So I would go to Joe's and work safely with a mask and record a guitar part and do a scratch vocal to a click track. And then Steve would come in, the drummer, Steve Busby, would come in, and Joe's studio is downstairs and his control room is upstairs. So Joe would set everything up. Steve would come in the downstairs, call Joe and say he was there. Joe would turn on the mics. Steve would put on the headphones. Steve would do his part. Joe would, through the talkback mic say, okay, I need to adjust the mic, step outside. Steve would go outside. Joe would go fix the mics and come back. I mean, it was, really challenging, but, everybody came down and did their parts one by one in, separate floors of a building.
Well, kudos for taking it to that extreme.
Yeah. Well, earlier when we were doing this, I mean, there was less known, and so we're really, concerned about, killing each, not in the traditional band way of killing each other, but the new band way of killing each other.
Right. Yeah. So that's and my guess is that for everybody who's had to spend the last year working / recording that way, they're never going to do it again. Once we're all vaccinated and it's good.
Well, Steve got his vaccination, the drummer, and we've started rehearsing. And again, we're wearing masks when we rehearse. We're spread out, but boy, it feels good to play. And so, we're really excited about this show because, some songs we haven't played in a little while, just playing them felt fresh and new and exciting. It was really good.
Yeah, I think that's in the conversations I've had with my musician friends, which is almost all of them. There's something that maybe the general public doesn't realize is happening at a live show that you and every other live musician is well aware of and missing. And I'm around it so much that I'm well aware of it, but it's the energy exchange between stage and audience. I mean, and I think you'd all agree too that the audience could be 6 people, it could be 6,000 people, but if there's energy going back and forth between the stage and the audience, it's levels above doing a live stream, which I've seen a billion of, and they're all great, and I love that people are taking the time to figure out how to do them and make them sound good and look good and stuff like that. But there's that exchange of, it, and again, it's hard to explain because you can't see it.
Yeah.
But
to me, there's 3 parts to it, right? So there's the part where I am channeling an emotion through a song and the way that makes me feel, which is always, I almost imagine it like like a light is shining through you, and it feels good. And then there's that other feeling that you have creating something together with a bunch of other people to create something that's, we're all feeling, we're all riding in the same direction, we're all riding the same wave. And then there's the response back from the audience. So the live streams and some of the recording stuff that I've done, I can really get into what I'm doing. I believe in what I wrote and I feel those feelings. But all the other pieces of it are sort of missing. So rehearsal is great because you're feeling that with these guys, and you're in a groove on something and everybody's together and it feels like a good emotional team group thing. But I'm really looking forward to playing it in front of an audience and getting that feedback.
Yeah, I forget who I was talking to who said it was very much like a team, like a sports team.
Yeah.
It's often a team of 4 or 5, and that's the other thing too. Like, and even I forget about this sometimes. The rehearsal part of it, like you guys as the band get together more often than just the days on stage or the nights
Yeah.
on stage. So you guys have all been missing that interaction, that social
Right.
aspect of life, of being in a band, of being with your friends, that kind of thing.
So for me, like in my mind, we're sort of pack animals, right?
Mm,
Like fancy dressed pack animals, not so much Pete, but we're fancy dressed pack animals, and we thrive in a group. Some people don't, but most people do, and
yeah,
I certainly do. And I like being in a group better than being a solo, but creating that together and like having that interplay and bouncing off each other, and somebody hits a note that everybody sort of shifts and goes in that direction. That's the greatest part of it for me.
yeah. So it's good that we're slowly getting back to it, but as was said from the beginning, live shows and venues will be the last things to come back, because it's fun as much as and I can say this too, because obviously I'm a huge fan of live music. I am as hesitant as the next person to be the first in line at at the first
Yeah.
full capacity show. And I've talked to a lot of bands, a lot of musicians who also don't want to be the first one to do a show. And on the off chance that, a new cluster of positive cases can be traced back to your show.
Yeah. Yeah. We agonized over this because we feel like those same concerns, and it doesn't matter how cautious you are. It's one person out there
It's
who may
everybody
have
else.
made
Yeah.
some different choices that you wouldn't have made. So it's scary, but I'm hopeful that things are getting better and that we're starting to see clubs come around and start to plan openings in late spring, early summer. So, um, and the clubs that have done gigs, the Brighton Bar does some gigs, and I know that the Langusta does some gigs, and of course the Wonder Bar. They've been socially, conscious and had a solid plan, and that's allowed them to have these shows. And there have been no reports of anything from these shows. So it's good. And
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I went to my first indoor show with other people in 340 something days at the Vogel, the new space over at the Count Basie.
yeah,
And not for nothing, I was absolutely floored by the way staff handled the people coming in, the people going out, people getting seated, and everything about it. It was above and beyond what I was
so
expecting.
two things. One, I've seen so many little situations where people have really risen to the occasion. And you could easily be angry or frustrated or sad, but I have seen a ton of occasions where people have been really good to each other, kind to each other, and that is heartening to see.
Yeah.
And the other point that I wanted to make is a question for you. Is 346 days the longest you've gone without seeing a show?
I did not see a show during that stretch.
A live show, sorry.
No, I had not been at a show indoors
Oh, indoors. I'm
in
sorry. Wow.
almost a complete year. I
Wow.
did actually see a handful of outdoor shows.
Oh, okay.
But Tom Kanach is here with me. He and his band will be at the Wonder Bar in Asbury Park for a very special um, COVID-friendly, under capacity. You better get a ticket beforehand because they're not going to be available as a walk-up. Friday, March 19th. And if you would like to go, wonderbargm@gmail.com. You have to email them, and you have to get a table as a whole.
Yeah, I think they're selling the tickets by table. So if you wanted to get 2 tickets, you'd have to buy two tickets for
Two
one
top.
table and four, two top, four top. Yeah.
Okay. And then the new EP Change is out and available in person and online, I presume.
Correct.
And obviously on Friday night it'll be there.
Yep. And you guys have been playing it, so we're very grateful
We
for that.
have.
Thank you very much.
We have. Our pleasure. Thank you. If there's one thing that we pride ourselves on and hang our hat on is supporting the local music scene. It's helpful when the local music scene is probably better than any other area's local music scene.
Yeah. There's a lot of good
as,
music around.
As I've tried to explain to folks, short of, Los Angeles, Austin, Boston, New York City, which they're cities. They're not a local scene.
Right.
The area, all of New Jersey really, but especially the area here on the Jersey Shore is abnormally fertile for musical talent of all kinds. Not just rock, not just singers, not just guitar players. I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago. We have 5 or 6 world-class Hammond B3 players in the area.
But you're absolutely right. I've seen that too.
And one last question, because some folks out there have been around as long as me, and will hopefully remember you from some of your previous bands. And I did just quickly want to give props to some of those early bands that you were in. Most notably, I guess, Well of Souls.
Yeah, I think so.
And that included our mutual friend, John Pfeiffer.
Yep. I spoke to John last night, actually.
So
not because I owe him money or anything.
No, but that does beg the question: how do you survive being in a band with John Pfeiffer?
John and I have been friends. He's probably my oldest friend, and not by age, but by length of friendship. And we've been friends. We wrote songs together in Well of Souls, and we're very different, but I know him so well. It's like well-oiled machinery, I think. And in fact, I think we're going to do. There's some songs from Well of Souls that never saw release, and I think I'm going to re-record some of those and put those out as part of something. And we might do some. There's a couple of Well of Soul songs that I always love that we might do live, but not until the summertime.
Ooh, little exclusive there.
Yeah.
Perhaps the return of Well of Souls. And I'm just teasing. I just like to bust on John.
Me too.
The new EP is Change from Tom Kanach from right here on the Jersey Shore, and Friday the 19th of March at the Wonder Bar. Again, it's not a, go to Ticketmaster or go to the box office to get tickets. You have to email wonderbargm@gmail.com to get your tickets, at least in a multiple of 2, I guess.
I think so. Yep, I think so.
And the new EP Change available online. What's your website address?
It is tomkanach.com. TOMKANACH.com.
And that would be probably
surprisingly no one else had
no one
that
had
website
it.
name.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know the feeling. And that's probably the best place to start. You've got some videos for the new songs as well.
Correct.
I know I was wrapping up a second ago, but I just remembered that one of them was done by another mutual friend, the legendary George McMorrow.
Yep. George and his team did a great job helping us film the Mistake video. And that was filmed right around Thanksgiving. And that was really interesting because it was everybody wearing masks. And it was really interesting. And we rent out the Brighton Bar to go in there and shoot the live scenes. And, it was very interesting. You have to remember to take the mask off for the shot, then remember to put it back on right away. But George, I've known George for a long time, and he's great. And those guys did an amazing job, and it made me look good. So
yeah, I was going to say it does look good. That was for Mistake.
Correct.
Which is one of the tracks on the new EP Change.
Yep.
Once again, thank you for spending some time with us, Tom Kanach, and some of us will be able to get into the Wonder Bar on the 19th to see you. Not as many as hopefully soon.
Right.
Fingers crossed. We'll be able to all get back into sweat boxes and not give each other some deadly disease.
That would be the goal, yeah.
But and of course the old joke is for those of us who did live through the 80s, I think you and I included, and anyone who spent time in, let's say something like the bathroom at CBGB's, we're immune to anything.
Yeah, I remember my socks being soaked with urine in that bathroom on many a vacation. I almost got in a fight with that bathroom and fought really hard not to fall down on that floor.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, CB's bathroom was a pool.
And it's one of those things that the younger generations will just never know, never understand. Well, once again, thank you, Tom. Good to see you.
Good to see you, and thank you very much for everything. I appreciate you talking to me today.
My pleasure. Anytime. And like I said, hopefully sometime in person. I mean, I'm still getting used to doing these interviews over the internet. So
me too.
I've done thousands of interviews with somebody sitting 4 feet in front of me. So I'd like to get back to that.
Yeah. Feels a little better, but this was great. So thank you.
Cool. Thank you. My pleasure. Tom Kanach, Friday, the 19th of March at the Wonder Bar in Asbury Park.